ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to part 2 of me predicting some more NFL free agency. I appreciate all the requests from you guys in the last video. I made a pretty good list here of guys to go over today. However, I do just want to say I'm aware that there's about 45 offensive linemen that are going to be free agents. I'll do a couple, and I literally mean like a couple. But if I have to sit here and talk about offensive linemen for the entire video, I'm going to fall asleep in 5 minutes. Couple of plugs before we hop into the video. Don't forget to use code Wyatt's World on G Fuel, Waggle Golf, or Prize Picks. By using my codes on G Fuel or Waggle, you'll save a discount on any of their products, and by using my code at sign up on Prize Picks, you're gonna guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. But as always, remember to play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, so starting off today's video, we are gonna actually address the James Cook rumors. Well, not really the rumors, but what's gonna turn into the James Cook holdout that's going on. You guys haven't heard, James Cook wants to be paid, he wants a contract, which I do agree he deserves, but some sources are saying that he is hinting at a value of like $15 million a year. Like I said, sources have claimed that. If that's true, my opinion on that is, James Cook, it was nice having you around, but get the hell out of here. Because that number is just not even realistic. We're done with that. That's like 3 fucking years ago now that we were paying running backs that kind of money. Matter of fact, there's like one running back in the league that I would even consider paying that money to, and it would be on like a 2-year contract, and that is Saquon. If James Cook is willing to settle for 8 to even like 11 million max on like a 3-year deal, I'm okay with that. But 15 million, like I said, it's not realistic, and this is not me wanting James gone. I want him to be a Bill. I just don't want to pay him $15 million a season or anything astronomical even like that. Okay, so now moving on to actual free agency. Starting today, we have Najee Harris. First off, I would just like to say, Pittsburgh, I think you're making a mistake letting this guy walk. He's been consistent for you. He's been a great guy to have in the locker room. He's been a great citizen to have around town. It just seems foolish that after the 4 seasons and the 4,300 rushing yards and 28 rushing touchdowns he's thrown up for you guys, you have no interest in keeping him around. Regardless, the list for Najee Harris, I mean, it's about this long if it's a piece of paper. A lot of teams make sense for him. He can go to the Chargers, he can go to the Vikings, he can go to the Broncos, he can go to the Bengals, he can go to the Patriots, he can go to the Bills. Hell, I brought this up on Twitch the other day. I'd like to see him go to the 49ers even. I think they could benefit by having him there. People forget he can catch the ball quite well. But the 3 teams that I think are most likely to pick Najee up in no particular order, starting off, we have the Raiders. Their running room is absolutely abysmal. No matter who they draft, he could still have a phenomenal workload there. Then number 2, the Chiefs. And I know this last team's a true dark horse. They are really cash strapped and just extended their running back last year, but the Saints. I mean, not only could he be used in several different roles on offense regularly, but that team always seems like they're absolutely fucked if anything happens to Kamara, who by at this point will be 30 years old at the start of next season. He ain't getting younger. So those are my predictions for Mr. Harris. Moving on to the next player, we have Super Bowl champion Josh Sweat, who sounds like he's finally going to be departing from the Eagles. I think he goes directly to Arizona. I mean, not only would he be going back to work with Jonathan Gannon, who he's very familiar with, but the Cardinals' pass rush still desperately needs help. Have they even had a decent pass rusher since Chandler Jones? Either way, it just seems like a puzzle piece that fits perfect there. Josh Sweat to the Cardinals. Now moving on, we have Trey Smith out of Kansas City. Now, as you can imagine, the list of teams who need a good offensive lineman, a good guard, it's pretty much infinite, which is why I'm blessed to say that I don't believe this man is even leaving KC in the first place, so I don't have to predict anything. I mean, I guess that is a prediction, but I don't think they're gonna let him go. Everything I've read about this guy says Kansas City is gonna keep him around. It's projected to be like a 4-year, $80 million deal. Not sure what Kansas City will have to do to make that work, but you know they can, and if all comes to nothing, they'll just let go of Travis Kelce, and that'll save them like $19 million. Which I'm sure you know, by the way, they would like to keep him on the team if they could. You gotta understand that football teams gotta build towards their future, and Travis Kelce is no longer the future. That man is the past. Now moving on to one of the biggest pieces of news and one of the biggest names that has just re-entered free agency because unretiring, we have got one of the most dominant tight ends of all time, Hingle McCringleberry. For those who are unaware, not only did this man dominate the NFL for nearly a decade, but he is also arguably the greatest talent to ever come out of Penn State. If I had to guess, he is either going to the New York Giants to help out Malik Neighbors in that offense, or he is going down to Atlanta and Kyle Pitts is out of a job. Moving on, I've been asked to talk about a couple of Vikings, and those names are Cameron Bynum and Byron Murphy. Neither of them are leaving, you understand me? Look into my fucking eyes. They're not going anywhere. Get over here. I won't let them out of the state. Now moving on, we have safety Justin Reed coming out of Kansas City once again. This guy I do not believe is staying around, and I could see him going a couple of different places. Washington would be a good fit for him. There's been a lot of rumors circulating him in the Jets, which I don't think is really necessary, but a dark horse, well, not really a dark horse, a team that I think he would fit really well in, call me biased, but the Bills. Dude, our DB room has been hurting all year, and it's gonna be hurting even worse because I don't think we're gonna be keeping Rasal Douglas around. I'd be happy if we did, but I understand if we don't. Kiar Elam is just fucking horrible, and I think we only have 3 safeties on our damn depth chart right now the way it is. We can afford him? Come on over. Now moving on, we've got Keenan Allen, and actually on the topic of senior citizens, why don't we get D-Hop out of the way? D-Hop is now a free agent, which by the way, if you don't remember, he said once he doesn't hit 1,000 yards, he's retiring. Bullshit cap. He's going back to the Chiefs. Now, on to Keenan Allen, the other grandfather. He's going to Washington. They are going to be very aggressive this offseason, and they have a very good reason to be aggressive. Keenan Allen, probably going to be able to get him reasonably cheap, and you'll probably even be able to get him cheaper if he knows he's going to a team where he's going to be in good hands. Now, I don't think it's certainly set in stone that he is going to leave Chicago. Ben Johnson's enough to make anybody stay around, but if he doesn't play in Chicago, I think he will be in Washington. Now moving on, we have my boy, Nicholas Jamal Chubb. I think he will either be a Raider, a Charger, or, well, this is kind of wishful thinking, but a Viking. There's obviously a handful of other teams Nick Chubb could go to. Realistically, I think if Nick Chubb wants to play somewhere, a team will let him, but it's gotta be for the right price, because at this point, it would be delusional to assume he won't have, you know, a substantial descent from the player he once was. He has had 2 horrid injuries. If Nick Chubb can bounce back with a 1,000-yard season, he wins comeback player of the year. It's hands down over. Now moving on to another oldie but goldie, we have Sir Khalil Mack. Brother, this guy just turned 34 and he's still playing like he's 29. I got 2 different spots for him. One of them is where he is right now, the Chargers. They have got a good thing going there for the first time in a long time with Jim Harbaugh. If Khalil Mack wants to stay and be a part of whatever they got building, he absolutely should do it. I don't blame him for it, but if he is to leave the Chargers, I think he is going back to the Bears. He was appreciated there. He appreciated his time there, even though I know it turned into a real shit show. I could see him wanting to go back to the midway in that rebuild and be part of something that could potentially be historic. I fucking love Khalil Mack, dude. He's the best. Next person we have is J.K. Dobbins, also from the Chargers. I think if the Chargers offered him a contract of a decent value, he would be an idiot to not stay there. He just had the best season of his career, and he missed, again, multiple games during it, but 900 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4.5 yards a carry. Not to mention, this guy can effectively catch the ball, too. Like, if the Chargers want to keep him around, which I would imagine they would, both parties should be okay with that. Now moving on, we have Ronnie Stanley, an offensive tackle out of Baltimore. Chicago. Dude, they need offensive line help. They're gonna have to pay to get it. But this guy just bounced back with a pretty impressive Pro Bowl season after missing a lot of time in consecutive years. He is entering free agency, and if Baltimore doesn't bring him back, Chicago would be a fantastic spot for him. That'll bring us to Rico Dowdle, I think one of the more impressive, surprising running backs this year, and he is coming out of Dallas. Now, unfortunately, I do think Dallas will reach out and try to keep him because that's a smart move and it's also a Jerry Jones move. But again, if he does not remain there, I have him going to one team, and one team specifically, a team that he would fucking cooking, the Denver Broncos. Now, nothing against Julio McLaughlin, but Rico Dowdle, he is better than that entire running room combined. And if there's a head coach who knows how to get the best out of every one of his players, it's Sean Payton. He would thrive. And ending here, we have Javon Holland, safety out of Miami, a guy who just took a big fat shit on the Dolphins. He wants a team that wants to win, a team that has detailed and experienced coaching, which they don't fucking have. Then he also wants honest culture and leaders who set examples by actions and not words. Again, a bunch of teams he could go to, but my top 3 that I think would make sense, just based off of what he said, especially with coaching: the Broncos, the Chargers, or dark horse to me, but the Patriots. This guy gets so many points for me for taking a dump on Miami. Good for you, Javon. And that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for part 2 of me predicting NFL free agency. I'm not sure there will be a part 3 to this, but I just want to thank you guys for the recommendations in last video, and I want to thank you guys for just watching my videos in general. It means a lot. Make sure to let me know in the comments where we differ or where we agree. As always, I hope you guys have an incredible rest of your night. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.